Mouth tape. A $6 roll of tape, placed over your lips before bed, claiming to fix your sleep. The idea is built on one simple fact. Nasal breathing filters air, adds moisture, and helps regulate oxygen far better than breathing through your mouth. When your mouth falls open at night, your airway can partially collapse, your throat dries out, and your brain may briefly wake itself up dozens of times without you ever noticing. Taping your mouth shut forces nasal breathing, and, for many people, that means less snoring, deeper sleep, and less morning dry mouth. But it's not risk-free. Anyone with sleep apnea, a deviated septum, or chronic nasal congestion can make things worse by restricting their only working airway. It's a low-cost experiment with real potential, but not something to try blindly if breathing through your nose is already difficult. Gut-brain axis. Your gut runs its own nervous system, separate from your brain, called the enteric nervous system. It communicates upward through the vagus nerve, a direct line between your digestive tract and your brainstem. This connection means what you eat doesn't just affect your waistline, it directly shapes your mood. Over 90% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter tied to feeling calm and stable, is produced in your gut, not your brain. A diet heavy in processed food feeds bacteria linked to inflammation and brain fog, while fiber, fermented foods, and plant diversity feed the bacteria that support mental clarity and emotional balance. That sluggish, foggy feeling after a weekend of junk food isn't just in your head. It's a direct chemical signal traveling from your stomach to your skull. Face plunge. Ice baths get all the attention, but a full-body plunge isn't necessary to get a real physiological reset. Submerging just your face in ice-cold water for 10 to 30 seconds triggers something called the mammalian dive reflex, an ancient survival response that slows your heart rate, constricts blood vessels, and shifts your nervous system out of stress mode. Your body reacts as if it's about to go underwater, and within seconds, your stress hormones begin to drop. Unlike a full cold plunge, which can spike cortisol or interfere with muscle recovery if overused, a face plunge is fast, low risk, and requires nothing more than a bowl of cold water. Red light therapy. Despite sounding like wellness store gimmickry, red and near-infrared light therapy has genuine science behind it. These specific wavelengths penetrate the skin and stimulate mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside your cells. More cellular energy means faster tissue repair, reduced inflammation, and in some studies improved skin tone and collagen production. Athletes use it for faster muscle recovery, and some research links consistent use to modest increases in testosterone. The catch is that results depend heavily on the right wavelength, distance, and session length. Excessive or improperly timed exposure won't accelerate the benefits, it just risks skin irritation without adding value. Creatine. Long associated with gym culture, creatine's biggest secret has nothing to do with muscle. Your brain is one of the most energy-hungry organs in your body, and creatine helps recycle ATP, the molecule that fuels nearly every cellular process, including thought. Research increasingly shows creatine supports working memory, resistance to mental fatigue, and mood stability, especially during high stress or sleep deprivation. It's one of the most thoroughly studied supplements in existence, with decades of safety data behind it, and early research is even exploring its role in supporting cognitive function under neurological stress. The gains aren't just physical anymore. Breathwork. Your breathing pattern is a direct lever on your nervous system, and you can pull it in seconds. Fast, shallow breathing signals danger to your brain. Slow, controlled breathing signals safety. Techniques like box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 held, 4 out, 4 held again, can lower cortisol and calm a racing mind almost immediately. Physiological sighs, a sharp double inhale followed by a long exhale, are used clinically to interrupt acute stress responses. Alternate nostril breathing has even been shown to influence balance between the brain's hemispheres. None of this requires an app, a class, or special equipment. It requires attention to something you're already doing every few seconds. Magnesium. Magnesium participates in over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, covering everything from sleep regulation to muscle relaxation to cognitive function, and most people are quietly running low. Modern diets are stripped of magnesium-rich foods, while stress, caffeine, alcohol, and intense exercise all deplete existing reserves further. Low magnesium often shows up as restless sleep, muscle tension, anxiety, or brain fog, symptoms easy to blame on everything except the actual cause. Not every form works the same way. Cheaper forms like magnesium oxide are poorly absorbed, while magnesium glycinate tends to be gentler on digestion and more effective for calming the nervous system, which is why some people try magnesium and feel nothing, simply because they picked the wrong type. Binaural beats. Play a slightly different tone in each ear, and your brain perceives a third phantom tone, the mathematical difference between the two. That perceived pulse can gradually shift your brainwave activity, a process called neural entrainment. Slower frequencies are associated with deep, restorative sleep, while others align with focus, creativity, or calm alertness. Research suggests binaural beats can support better sleep quality, sharper focus, and reduced anxiety, though effects vary from person to person and only work properly through headphones. It's not a guaranteed fix, but it's one of the lowest effort tools available for nudging your mental state in a specific direction. Morning sunlight. Your circadian rhythm, the internal clock governing sleep, energy, and hormone release, is set primarily by light exposure, and morning sunlight is its strongest signal. Sunlight hitting your eyes within the first hour of waking suppresses melatonin, raises cortisol at the right time, and essentially starts a countdown for when you'll naturally feel sleepy again that night. Indoor lighting, even bright indoor lighting, is far too weak to send this signal effectively. Missing it consistently can quietly push your entire sleep-wake cycle out of alignment. The fix costs nothing, 5 to 10 minutes outside, facing the sky rather than the sun directly, within an hour of waking. Dopamine Reset. Every scroll, notification, and hit of sugar delivers a small dopamine spike, and when those spikes never stop, your brain adjusts by becoming less sensitive to reward altogether. That's often the real explanation behind chronic low motivation, restlessness, and a sense that nothing feels satisfying anymore. A dopamine reset isn't about eliminating dopamine. That's not biologically possible. It's about temporarily removing artificial stimulation so your baseline sensitivity can recover. This can be as simple as a day without notifications, an hour of a task done in silence, or a short break from social media and constant background content. Even brief periods of reduced stimulation allow natural rewards, focus, and motivation to feel meaningful again. Sleep cycles. Sleep doesn't happen in one continuous block. It moves in roughly 90-minute cycles through light sleep, deep sleep, and REM sleep, looping repeatedly through the night. Waking up during light sleep leaves you feeling alert. Waking up mid-cycle during deep sleep leaves you groggy regardless of how many total hours you slept. This is why 8 hours can sometimes feel worse than 6. Timing your wake-up to land at the end of a cycle, rather than the middle of one, matters more than most people realize, and it can be approximated simply by counting backward from your target wake time in 90-minute increments when planning your bedtime. Intermittent fasting. Restricting eating to an 8-hour window, with 16 hours of fasting in between, has been linked to sharper focus and improved metabolic health, and the mechanism makes sense. While fasting, your body isn't diverting energy toward digestion, insulin levels drop, and your brain shifts into a more alert, efficient state. Some research also connects fasting periods to increased levels of a molecule tied to learning and stress resilience. It doesn't require extreme fasting windows or suffering, simply stopping eating earlier at night and delaying the first meal the next day. It isn't suited for everyone, particularly those with certain health conditions, but for many, it's a low-effort shift with a measurable mental payoff. Subscribe to Explained Simply, because the smallest habits are usually the ones doing the most work.